यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधमाधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधमाधवा कुंज विहारी जय राधमाधवा कुंज विहारी जय कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय विष्णुपाद परमंस परिव्राजकधरष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमंस परिव्राजकधरष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। श्री श्री कृष्ण रुक्मिणी सत्यभामा की जय। श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 24, The Renunciation of Kardama-muni. Text number 14. Ima duhitaraha satyaha ima duhitaraha satyas ima duhitaraha satyas tava vatsa sumadhyamaha tava vatsa sumadhyamaha tava vatsa sumadhyamaha sargam etam prabhavaihi svaihi sargametam prabhavaihi svair sargametam prabhavaihi svair brahmayishyanti anekadha brahmayishyanti anekadha brahmayishyanti anekadha ima duhitaraha satyas tava vatsa sumadhyamaha sargametam prabhavaihi svair brahmayishyanti anekadha ima duhitaraha satyas tava vatsa sumadhyamaha sargametam prabhavaihi svair brahmayishyanti anekadha imaha, these, duhitaraha, daughters, satyaha, chaste, tava, your, vatsa, O my dear son, sumadhyamaha, thin-waisted, sargam, creation, etam, this, prabhavaihi, by descendants, svaihi, their own, brahmayishyanti, they will increase, anekadha, in various ways. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma then praised Kardama Muni's 9 daughters, saying, all your thin-waisted daughters are certainly very chaste. I am sure they will increase this creation by their own descendants in various ways. Kindly repeat. Lord Brahma then praised Kardama Muni's 9 daughters, saying, all your thin-waisted daughters are certainly very chaste. I am sure they will increase this creation by their own descendants in various ways. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the beginning of creation, Brahma was concerned more or less with increasing the population. And when he saw that Kardama Muni had already begotten 9 nice daughters, he was hopeful that through the daughters, many children would come who would take charge of the creative principle of the material world. He was therefore happy to see them. The word Sumadhyama means a daughter of a beautiful woman. If she has a thin waist, a woman is considered very beautiful. All the daughters of Kardamumuni were of the same beautiful feature. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namavo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mokam karoti vachalam pangam langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. So these are words spoken by Lord Brahma to Kardamumuni after Kapiladeva had appeared. Brahma is saying, Vatsa, O my dear son, he is referring to Kardamumuni. Vatsa, Ima tava duhitaraha, Ima tava sumadhyamaha duhitaraha satyaha. He is saying, all your thin-waisted daughters are certainly very chaste. Vatsa, Ima, all these, Tava, your, Sumadhyamaha Duhitaraha, thin-waisted daughters, Satyaha, they are certainly chaste. Etam Sargam, this creation, Swaihi Prabhavaihi, by their descendants, Anekadha Brahmayishyanti, they will increase the population in various ways. A few days back, headlines were created by an ex-Google engineer, a man who used to work for Google. He is about 75 years old. And he has written many books, and he keeps making a lot of predictions. Earlier also he has made several predictions. Before year 2000, he had predicted that by the year 2000, we will have machine-run chess which can defeat a human being. And it came true. Like that, he has made many futuristic predictions. This time he made one more prediction. By 2030, by the year 2030, which is about 7 years from now, he said that the way technology has been advancing in the fields of nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, medical science, etc. So he predicted that in the next 7 years, medical science, nanotechnology, AI, all these things would have advanced so much that every human being will be injected with nanorobots. So in his blood, in his veins, there will be many, many nanorobots spread all over his body. And what will these nanorobots do? These nanorobots, they will go and wherever any cell is having some disease or having some problem, it will go and rectify it. So this way, by 2030, old age will be stopped, disease will be stopped, and human beings will become immortal. And further he says, by 2045, artificial intelligence, AI, and human beings will integrate and become one being, which he calls the singularity, to form an entity of very high intelligence and capability. Artificial intelligence and human beings will merge. So very nice predictions. And this is not a new prediction. From time immemorial, scientists have been telling that tomorrow, in a few months from now, few years from now, old age will be finished, death will be finished, we would have conquered everything. All these years, these scientists, it would all be one-way communication. Whatever they wanted to tell, they will tell. God is all out of the picture. Religion has no space. Belief has no space in this world today. We have made so much progress, so much advancement, etc., etc. So whatever they would say, it would be a one-way communication. And people have to just watch the televisions or read the newspapers or the scientific magazines, and whatever their feelings are, they have to keep it to themselves. So naturally, all the scientists, they are always very enthusiastic to come out and keep saying this, that old age will be over, disease will be over, people will no more have to die and all these kind of things. Immortality. But today, the same scientists, they've invented so many things. Because of it, there is social media. And so, the common man can also respond to whatever the scientist is saying. So, on the social media, there were a lot of reactions to what this scientist said. 7 years, man will become immortal because of nanorobots. So one person responded. He said that you cannot even solve the problem of hair fall. Person goes bald, you cannot even prevent baldness. You are talking about immortality. What sense are you talking? And that too, you are saying we are in 2023, and you are saying in 7 years we'll become immortal. You cannot even stop balding of a person. What are you talking? So, people have started seeing through all these tall claims by some scientists, saying that they will make human beings immortal and all these kind of things. People have started seeing through. Another Google engineer, he made news for similar reasons. He was put on leave by Google by a claim which he made. Google sent him on leave. They said you would take leave, better you don't come to office. Why? Because he claimed that artificial intelligence has become sentient. It has become capable of sensing, of having feelings. And he divulged some research work which is going on within Google or whatever about all this artificial intelligence. He was sharing some of the research findings, and he was saying actually artificial intelligence has become sentient. It has become capable of having feelings, but the company is not revealing this. So immediately Google told him, you please go on leave for a few days for whatever reason. So even in MIT, recently, in MIT, when we were having a session there, the talk was given on artificial intelligence and spirituality. So one of the boys, young students, he stood up and he was asking a question. So he was very confidently saying, now artificial intelligence, bought with ChatGPT and all that, now artificial intelligence has advanced so much, very soon it will become sentient. So, with a lot of confidence, he was telling. So, actually, what all these people don't understand is, and where they fail to see the reality is, as Lord Brahma is saying here, Brahma is saying, Etam Sargam. This material universe is a creation. This material world is a creation. Okay, you may have different beliefs about what is the cause of the creation. It may be the Big Bang, or it may be God, whatever it is. Ultimately, it is a creation. At some point of time, it did not exist, and at some point of time, it has come into existence. Therefore, it is called a creation. Creation means something which did not exist before a certain point of time and came into existence after a certain point of time. That is what is called a creation. Now, this material universe itself is a creation. That means it has come into existence at a certain point of time, and everything within this material manifestation is also created. Everything comes into existence at a certain point of time. And the nature of anything that is created is, the natural characteristic of anything that is created, the natural characteristic of any creation is that in the future there will come a point of time when the creation will cease to exist. So creation means it will come into existence at a certain point of time, and after some time it will cease to exist. This is the nature of this material world. Everything that you see, whether it is inanimate objects, or even you look at more subtle things like the creation of the human beings, whether it is civilizations, whether it is corporations, whether it is scientific inventions, all these things are also creations. They come into existence at a certain point of time, and Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama Ki, and at a certain point of time they will cease to exist. So, out of all the created objects in this world, the various forms that we see of the living entities, such as plants, animals, human beings, they are also created. So, a human being, when he takes birth, his form is created at that point of time. And after some time, he will die. Why? Because that body is created. And therefore, because it is created, it has to die at certain point of time. It has to cease to exist. It is impossible to create something which will never cease to exist. It is impossible, because that's the natural characteristic of anything which is created. Now, what happens is that although this creation, this material creation, is full of created objects, there is one thing which is not created in this creation. What is that? That is consciousness. Our bodies may come into existence at a certain point of time. Our bodies are created by the union of our parents, and at a certain point of time, the body, when we die, the body will be finished. But the consciousness can never be created. The consciousness can never be created. It cannot be brought into existence, nor can it be destroyed. So, in this created body that we possess, there are two components. There is a gross body and there is a subtle body. Now, science has advanced so much that they can make imitations of the gross body. Our gross body consists of various different kinds of senses. We have the sense of sight, the sense of hearing, the sense of taste, the sense of smell, the sense of touch. Now, science has invented different instruments which can perform the same functions as our knowledge acquiring senses, as well as our gross body. So there are cameras which can capture images just like our eyes capture images. There are microphones, like this is a microphone, which can capture sound the way our ear, with our ear we are able to capture sound. So the scientific inventions have been able to function far better than our gross body. A camera today can take a picture of several megapixels, which can show the fine details of the object being photographed, unlike our human eyes. Our human eyes may not be able to determine certain fine effects, and beyond a certain distance we may not be able to make out what object is there. But with a telescope or with a camera, we may be able to capture the images of objects which are very far away or in such great detail, with so much of a resolution, high resolution, which our human eyes may be incapable of. Similarly, microphones can capture very faint sounds which the human ear may not be capable of capturing. We have infrared cameras which can capture images during the night time when the human eye cannot function. In the night time we may not be able to see something, but with infrared cameras we may be able to capture images. So like this, human beings have been able to invent instruments which perform the functions of our senses and of our gross body far better than our body can actually do. And they incorporate all these things into a humanoid or into a robot. And that robot will be able to perform functions much better than a human being can do. So that's why robotics has a very large role to play in industries where very high precision work is required. What they do is they replace human beings with robots. They can perform the function much better. Now what has happened is, in artificial intelligence, we are, like all this, the camera is an imitation of the human eye, the microphone is an imitation of the human ear, and blah blah, all the inventions you can compare it to one of the human, the human senses, the human body. Now the human body has the gross body, and the second component of the human body is the subtle body. The subtle body of a human being consists of mind, intelligence, and false ego, or the sense of identity. The mind has certain functions which is described in the Srimad-Bhagavatam. The mind's functions include acceptance and rejection. We accept things which appear favorable to us, and we reject things which we feel are unfavorable to us. So that is a function of the mind. The mind produces thoughts. The mind is a thought-producing machine. So these are all some of the functions of the mind. Similarly, intelligence also has got certain functions. According to the Bhagavatam, according to the Vedic scriptures, mind is very different from the intelligence. So the functions of intelligence, what are the functions of intelligence? To doubt, to be able to understand, comprehend, comprehensive ability, to be able to take decisions, to discriminate, this is right, this is wrong, sleep, memory, these are all functions of intelligence. And the function of false ego is to give us a sense of identity. So all these three things, mind, intelligence, and false ego, constitute the subtle body. Now artificial intelligence, what it is doing, it is like we have gross instruments like cameras and microphones to imitate our gross body. Artificial intelligence is trying to imitate our subtle body. And so, memory, what human beings cannot store, that much capacity of memory has been created. So many gigabytes of memory can be stored, far more than what a human being can store in his memory. A human being can has the ability to process information and come out with a comprehension of the subject matter to a certain extent. Now with tools like ChatGPT, you can perform the same function using artificial intelligence with far greater accuracy and far greater capacity. So, artificial intelligence, what it is doing is, it is mimicking human intelligence. And so people are becoming very excited. So they are thinking, if human intelligence can be mimicked, then very soon consciousness can also be imitated. Consciousness can also be created. Artificial consciousness also we can create, which is where they are going wrong. Because you can imitate and you can create artificial objects which mimic the activities or the functions of the gross and subtle body. Why? Because the gross and subtle bodies, both are machines. Both are part of this machine. Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita, Yantra Rudhani Mayaya. This body is a yantra. A yantra consisting of a gross portion and a subtle portion. So just because you created a robot which is able to function far better than the human body, doesn't mean that you replace the human being. Similarly, just because you are able to mimic or create artificial subtle body, eventually the scientists may also be able to mimic and create artificial intelligence. They may also be able to create artificial mind. So mind means it will be able to produce thoughts, it will have feelings, it can express sentiments, sorrow, joy, etc., which are all coming from the mind. They may be able to create an artificial mind also. Then what will happen is, it will start appearing like almost like a human being. And they may go one step further. They may be able to create artificial identity. A computer which possesses artificial intelligence and artificial mind may also possess an artificial sense of identity. It may be possible to create. It's possible to create, theoretically. Why? Because the subtle body is also matter. It is not made of spirit, it is made of matter. Anything which is made of matter, you can imitate. You can create artificial versions of it. Just like you are creating artificial version of the eye, artificial version of the ear, like that you can create artificial version of intelligence, artificial version of mind, and artificial version of false ego. You may be able to create all these things. But where the people go wrong is in their assumption that mind, intelligence, the gross body, the subtle body, and consciousness are all matter. That is where they go wrong. They think consciousness is also a creation. But that is not the reality. Why? Because you can see in this material world, you can create anything. But consciousness you will never see coming into existence on its own. Like this dead piece of steel is there. Suddenly one fine day, the steel rod started developing consciousness. It became aware of its surroundings and it started thinking, how did I come into existence? Possible? Not possible. You have never come across such an instant. Not possible. So, that means consciousness is not a creation. And because consciousness is not a creation, you cannot imitate it. You cannot create an artificial consciousness. So artificial intelligence may develop, artificial mind may develop, artificial ego or sense of identity may develop, and all put together you can create a composite artificial personality, but that artificial personality will still not have consciousness and associated traits. The associated traits of consciousness are what? Like, for instance, initiation of action. Because we have consciousness, we can initiate an action. We can think, why not let me create artificial intelligence? Why not let me create a camera which can perform the function of the human eye much better? I can initiate an activity which is possible because of consciousness. Like this dead piece of metal is sitting here, it cannot initiate an action on its own. Why? Because it has no consciousness. Similarly, desiring. Desiring is also possible only by a conscious entity. I have a desire that this should be like this. I have a desire that democracy should flourish. I have a desire that liberalism should be accepted by everyone. So these are all desires of human beings. So when it comes to chat GPT and all this artificial intelligence, whatever information is available to it in the internet, it will process that and present it. That's all. It cannot have its own ideas. Just like Thomas Alva Edison suddenly had an idea, let me make a bulb. Why? Where did that idea come from? That idea was not existing before Thomas Alva Edison thought of creating a light bulb, isn't it? But still he got an idea. So how is it possible? Because he has consciousness. An unconscious entity cannot get ideas which are beyond the realm of his knowledge. Just like somebody was testing the chat GPT. They were asking various questions and seeing whether how accurate the answers are. And they said that after testing it, we found that it is very robust. And all kind of questions we asked, and it is giving wonderful answers, all accurate answers, up to 2021 or 2022 or something like that. Because ChatGPT has been updated up to that year with all the information. So what is beyond that, if you ask some question, ChatGPT will go it will go RE. Why? Because that information has not been fed in. Human beings are not like that. We can think of what is beyond our realm of knowledge or realm of experience also. We can think of why we came into existence. We can think of, is there possibility of becoming immortal? Because in our experience we are seeing everything undergoes destruction. So to think whether it is possible to become immortal, that's not the sign of artificial intelligence, it's a sign of consciousness. To be able to think beyond our realm of experience and knowledge. So this creation, what we see, has objects which come into existence at a certain point of time and which gets destroyed with time, and therefore everything within this material universe has a date of expiry. Human beings cannot become immortal until and unless they come out of the bodily concept of life. To make the created body, material body, immortal is not possible, but the soul itself is immortal. Consciousness is immortal. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita, the consciousness has no beginning and no end. It cannot be destroyed. So, therefore, consciousness is a symptom of the soul. It is a characteristic of the soul. And the soul is eternal. And therefore, no matter how much advancement we may make in artificial intelligence, and we may even be able to create artificial mind and artificial sense of identity and all those things, still they cannot create artificial consciousness. So human beings will continue to ask the questions, fundamental questions of creation and how we have come into this material world, and is there possibility of becoming immortal, and they will continue to explore the paths of spirituality to be able to develop our consciousness. And out of all the spiritual paths, the most developed path is the path of the Bhagavad-gita and the Srimad-Bhagavatam, where a living entity can realize his full potential and full personality as an individual in the spiritual world, as part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, that we are all His servants, His part and parcel, and to be able to re-establish our relationship with Krishna and to go back to Godhead and get out of this cycle of birth and death forever. So, there is no question of our becoming immortal. We are already immortal. Only thing is, because of identification with this created body, identification with this creation, this material creation, we are thinking that we also die when the body dies, which is not the reality. We continue to exist even when the body dies. So, therefore, we should, when devotees see all these kind of advancement of science and all those things, they are not bewildered. They can very clearly understand that the material creation of the Supreme Lord is so wonderful that there are so many possibilities within this material world to invent and discover various objects which can perform the functions what we normally perceive as human beings capable of doing in a far better way. But that does not mean that these instruments or these machines will become more than human beings, because machines can never have consciousness. So these are, some of the important points we can understand from Brahma's mentioning that this material world is etam sargam, that this material world is a creation. Creation means something which comes into existence at a certain point of time and which ceases to exist after a certain point. And the human beings or the living entities, all the living entities, whether it is plant form of life or human form of life, animal form of life, all the living entities are not part of this sarga. They are not called created. They are eternal, sanatana. They are eternally part and parcel of the supreme sentient being, which is Krishna. So these are some of the points which we can understand. If anybody has any questions or comments, we can discuss. Mukunda Madhav.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
If somebody puts forward the argument that if if consciousness cannot be created, then God also cannot create consciousness. So is that a limitation on God?
So Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita, Mamayvamso Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatanaha. Eternally, Krishna has made us part and parcel of himself. So we are eternally individual living entities and we are part and parcel of Krishna. So therefore, and we also have to understand that because we are part and parcel of Krishna, our consciousness is also not created. Our consciousness is also part and parcel of Krishna's consciousness. So Krishna has super consciousness. His consciousness is spread everywhere. Our consciousness, because it's a small fragment of Krishna's consciousness, therefore it is limited. Just like when we go to some jewelry store. We go to some jewelry store and there we see various gold ornaments. So all those gold ornaments, that jeweler has not created this gold. He has simply taken the gold from a gold mine and he has created this jewelry, isn't it? So that gold which is there in the jewelry has come from a gold mine where there is a huge reserve of gold, and this gold jewelry is part and parcel of the gold which is there in the gold mine. So similarly, we also, Krishna is like the gold mine. His consciousness is like the gold mine. His consciousness is unlimited. We are part and parcel of that consciousness of Krishna. Therefore, we also have consciousness. That consciousness also belongs to Krishna. Another example that the Shastras give, the Bhagavatam gives is, Yathol Mukad. We are like sparks of fire. The spark has come from the fire. And the spark has no existence independent of the fire. But the spark has the same characteristics of the fire, but in small quantity. Why? Because the spark has come from the big fire. So similarly, we are eternally part and parcel of Krishna, and we are not created in the sense like we see this material creation. We are eternally created entities, part and parcel of creations, part and parcel of Krishna. So our creation is not like this material creation which has a certain date of birth and a date of death. So our creation is not like that. We are eternally created living entities. We are a different class of creation. That's how we have to understand. Is that okay? Anybody else? Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, for a person who has not understood he is not the body, he is spirit soul. So by using this artificial intelligence, artificial mind, artificial ego, everything, and can they not program in a way that they can react in a certain way for everything, just like heart, how to, what thought should come, what feeling has to, how it should react to particular this one, based on experiences, and
It
create
can
a
program.
person.
It can program. That's how they have created this chess machines, no? It has been programmed. All moves have been programmed into the computer. So when a move is made, it can respond. It can react. Okay, now this move is made. How to respond? What is the move to make?
Oh,
So likewise, you can program a computer to respond also in a certain way. But the issue is that response of that computer is according to whatever it has been programmed by a living person. Living person has programmed, it should react like this, it will react like that. So it has no response mechanism of its own in that sense.
But for a material person, materialistic person who is in this condition only, he is also acting same way, na, bro?
In same way meaning?
Same way meaning in the sense whatever comes in his consciousness, thinking that I am this, whatever ego that he has accepted.
Yes, but at the same time he has got free will. Because of the free will, he has got choice. And because the choice exists, a human being, he will respond differently in different occasions under the same circumstances. First time when I undergo a certain situation, I will respond in one way. Next time I will respond differently. So why this is possible? Because the human being has got a free will. He can choose. I don't want to do it like this. I want to do it like that. So that freedom of choice exists in a human being, which is coming from free will, which is also another aspect of consciousness. Whereas a machine doesn't have free will. Artificial intelligence also, what happens is, when it comes to ChatGPT, there is no programming behind ChatGPT. It keeps learning from the internet. And it keeps getting updated about knowledge. But the thing is, whatever you feed it into internet, only that it will capture and that it will be able to process. Beyond that, if you ask something like after 2022, any information you ask ChatGPT, it cannot give a proper answer. Why? Because it is beyond its realm of knowledge. Whereas human beings, whatever is fed into their system and whatever is in their experience, they can think beyond that also. And that is how rishis and munis and sages come up with thoughts of what is beyond life and death. Is there a God behind creation? All these kind of things a human being can think of, which is not within his realm of experience. You understood, no? So the soul itself, we ourselves are not within our realm of experience. As it is stated in the Shastras, that na bhavet grahyam indriyaihi. With our senses, it is not possible to grasp Krishna. But still, by understanding the scriptures and following the process of Bhakti Yoga, by chanting Hare Krishna, we will be able to experience Krishna. We will be able to capture Krishna. So something which is beyond the realm of our experience, something which we cannot perceive with our senses, we are still able to comprehend and able to proceed towards that, which is Krishna. Whereas in a machine, it can only act within the realm of its experience, or in other words, in the realm of information which has been fed to it in the internet. Whatever is there available in the internet, it will process that and it will capture and it will process that. If there is some knowledge outside internet which is not put into the internet, ChatGPT will not be able to process that. Whereas human beings, they can comprehend and process spiritual information about Lord Krishna, which is beyond the capability of our material senses to perceive. So that's because we are conscious living entities. You understood, no? So machine intelligence will always be limited. It will be limited to the way we, whatever information we provide, and the way we run our computers and our this one. Suppose human beings never were to improve the technology of computer chips, Constantly, Intel is also releasing i5, i7, next i9, i10. It will keep coming like that. 10th generation, 11th generation, 12th generation chipset, faster, smaller. All this kind of constant improvement is going on in science. The memory powers are increasing. In year, if you look at 1995, 1996, 97, not even 97, 99. In 1999, or even in year 2000, if you looked at the computer's memories, RAM of a computer would be 5 MB, 6 MB RAM. Today, even the mobile phones, we talk of 6 GB RAM, 4 GB RAM. GB was never heard of 20 years back. So much advancement has happened in the field of science and technology because of the efforts of human beings. So suppose all human beings stop all those efforts of improving technology. What will happen to ChatGPT? It will remain there. Whatever we have today, 50 years later also, it will remain like that. So if you have to improve ChatGPT, how it functions and its abilities and capacities and all that, human beings have to keep inventing and improving on the technology. So conscious living entities have to initiate the action of improvement of technology. Artificial intelligence by itself will not progress beyond whatever has been already created. It is working in a certain way, right? The way it keeps crawling and it keeps machine learning. It keeps learning in a machine way. The way it has been created, how machine learning has to happen. Now, 50 years later, that the way machine learning will be happening will be in a completely different way. It will not be the way it is happening today. Just like computers 20 years back, how they were, and today how computers are completely different. Their capabilities, capacities, their performance speeds, everything has gone up tremendously. Similarly, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, has just now come into existence. With time, all its flaws, advantages, everything will come out and people will keep improving it. So it will take a human being to improve ChatGPT also. It cannot improve itself. The way it is functioning, it will keep functioning like that 100 years also later. But what human being will think, the way it is functioning now, there is a better way it can function. So he will create another ChatGPT version 2, which will perform better than the earlier version. So human intelligence will be required to make the improvement. Artificial intelligence cannot improve itself. So you see, all these limitations are there. So therefore, the human, because of the human consciousness, in conjunction with the intelligence, material intelligence, it will always be superior to machine intelligence, because machine intelligence, there is no consciousness involved. That is where the difference comes. Okay? Anybody else has? Yes, please.
That's why in the first canto Bhagavatam, Prabhupada writes, if man can create a set of machines that can create further machines without his attention, then he can approach the intelligence of God.
He can approach the intelligence of God. So that is another argument many scientists give. Theistic scientists who believe that God is there, they say that the very fact that living entities are able to go on creating, procreating, they are able to create units which are identical to themselves without intervention of anybody else, points to the existence of an intelligence who has made such a creation possible. Because human intelligence will never be able to figure out a way by which a machine is created which will go on replicating itself without the need for human intervention. So same way with artificial intelligence also. To be able to improve the artificial intelligence, to be able to come up with higher versions, to iron out the flaws in the existing version, human people will have to intervene. Without human intervention, it is not possible. And suppose tomorrow some other company, let us say Google, ChatGPT is backed by Microsoft. Let us say Apple, or let us say Google, they want to come up with a similar version like ChatGPT. what will happen? ChatGPT itself cannot make another version of itself. Human beings in some other company will have to make another version of ChatGPT. So you see, it cannot self-replicate. Self-replication is possible only in living entities. Why? Because that is the way God has created. So God's intelligence is something else altogether. We can try to imitate on a small scale, but our intelligence cannot approach the intelligence of God, and so therefore we cannot create self-replicating units. So these are all some of the fundamental things which we lose sight of. We get excited by one small invention and we start claiming that, oh, now there is no need of God and all those kind of things. Yes.
That way, what is the source of human intelligence that scientists do not know?
Well, because the intelligence that we possess is created by the Supreme Lord Krishna. Therefore, it is very difficult to assess the limits of human intelligence. Why? Simply because, forget about human intelligence and all that. Even the human gross body, you take one small cell of a human body, can we say that modern medical science has understood everything of the human cell? No, they are going on discovering so many new things. The way it functions, some component which they did not know that it existed earlier, they are constantly discovering. So why? Because we are created. We have come into, our intelligence and our mind within this material universe has come into existence after it has been created by somebody, which is God. Krishna created after the material intelligence, mind, false ego, everything. Then we living entities have been put into this. So the creation happened before we came in here. Therefore, something which existed prior to my existence, for me to be able to comprehend its full extent of its existence and its constitution and its capabilities and all that, very difficult, impossible. I created something in front of my eyes, something came into existence. I can know, I can tell how it came into existence, who created it, and what is its constitution, all that I can tell. But the thing is, Eko Narayana Asid, na Ishano, na Brahma. In the beginning of creation, only Narayana was there. No Brahma was there, no Shiva was there. So therefore, the Lord created this material universe, along with all its senses, all the 16 elements, the different working senses, the different knowledge acquiring senses, the 5 gross elements, the 3 subtle elements, all these things the Lord created, then put the living entities into this material universe. Therefore, because we have entered this place after it has been created, it was not created in front of our eyes, for us to discover who is the creator and what is the constitution of this whole material universe is impossible. We can only understand the full scope of an object which has come into existence in front of our eyes. Like for instance, my father is born before me. Now, who is his father? How was he born? I will never be able to figure out. I have to simply hear from my father, whatever he tells, I have to accept. Why? Because he existed before I came into existence. So therefore, for me to know about him, the only way is to hear from him. Similarly, this creation also, all by our scientific advancement and speculation, we'll never be able to figure out who created this material universe. Why? Because this material universe existed before we came into this material universe. So therefore, it will not be possible for us to understand by our speculation. We have to hear from the authorities. We have to hear from the Vedas and understand who is the creator, which is Krishna. You see, that's how it is. Okay? We'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.